Hey everyone, this is Lizzie Emmons at the Jackson Arts Council, and I am so excited that we are finally able to open applications for NEA grant funding. So this is National Endowment for the Arts. We've received a portion of American Rescue Plan funding to give out to arts organizations and individual artists here to help with COVID recovery. So if you're watching this, you have probably heard about this grant and are interested in applying. So I just want to go over how to apply for this grant. A lot of this will not be new to our people who apply for grants often. This should be a pretty easy process, but if you haven't applied for a grant before, hopefully this is a really easy, simple grant process to undertake for the very first time of applying, and we're excited to have you. So please watch this video all the way through, whether you're used to grant writing, not used to grant writing, and hopefully this will help you navigate this particular grant. So what you want to do if you are applying for our NEA grant funds is to first go to our website, which is 731arts.com. There's a link at the top that says funding, and you're going to go to grants specifically, and under grants you will find NEA ARP grants. So what you need to do is download the guidelines and watch this tutorial video that's linked there, and download the sub-awards certifications. You need to review all of the guidelines and all of the sub-award certifications and watch this video before filling out your application. You'll see a link to the application, but you really need to review all three of those things before actually starting your application. So after you watch this video and read the documents on the website and still have questions, we'd love to help you through this process. If you have any questions, we're here to help mentor you through the grant process. You can schedule a meeting with us over Zoom, a phone call, an in-person meeting here at the NED in Jackson. We want to make sure that if you want to apply, that you are able to apply. So make sure to review all of these things first, and if you still have questions, concerns, or just need a little help, call us. So I want to go over the guidelines with you, that guidelines document, and just kind of walk through some information that's there. The overview in the guidelines will just tell you what this grant is. So like I said, this is National Endowment for the Arts funding provided by the American Rescue Plan, and it states what the funding is for. So this grant is intended to provide COVID recovery for arts groups and artists in Chester, Decatur, Hardeman, Hardin, Haywood, Henderson, Madison, and McNairy counties of Tennessee. So we have a really broad reach. Even though we are based in Madison County, this grant is open to any arts groups or artists in those 8 counties. And those 8 counties, we actually, those are the 8 counties that we provide ABC grant funding for through the Tennessee Arts Commission. So we're opening this grant also to everybody that we provide ABC grants for in any of those areas. So you must submit an online application with all the requirements stated in the guidelines. So we're going to kind of walk through those together. But the guidelines document is not the application. The application is separate. It's via Google Forms. But I really encourage you, again, watch this video and read over the 2 documents that are provided before you start the application. The deadline for the application is on May 15th, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. So if you're interested in applying for this grant, you fully intend to, just make sure that you get that done before May 15th. We're not going to accept any applications after that time. The award, grant applicants can choose to apply for a minimum of $500 and a maximum of $29,990. There's no cash match required for this grant. This is a reimbursement grant, so you have to spend the funds and then we will reimburse you. If you're awarded this grant, you must spend the requested funds between July 1, 2022 and May 31st, 2023, and we will reimburse you for those expenses. You may not get what you request. You might request more, but final determination will be based on how many applicants we receive and your application that's reviewed by an independent grant panel. Eligibility. You can apply for this grant if you are a 501c3 organization in good standing with the IRS. Organizations without their own 501c3 designation cannot apply for this grant funding. You can also apply if you are a unit of state or local government, an institution of higher education, a federally recognized Indian tribal government, or an individual artist living within those 8 counties. So you must also ensure that this award is spent in full accordance with the U.S. Constitution, federal law, and public policy requirements that are stated in the separate document, the subaward certifications document on our website. If you cannot meet those requirements, if you are not part of any of those groups listed above, or if you're not an individual artist, you cannot apply for this specific grant. I'm so sorry. Review the application timeline in the guidelines. There is a timeline with every date that you need to know within the guidelines document, and we strongly recommend that you attend the grant panel review on June 22nd here in Jackson, Tennessee at the Ned Ray McWhirter Cultural Arts Center. That's where we are. A call-in option will be available to you if you cannot be physically present. And you are welcome to bring another member of your organization, if you're part of an organization, to the panel review with you. But we really encourage you to attend that. It won't be longer than 10 to 15 minutes. We'll assign you a time closer to that date. And we would really encourage you to attend so that the grant panel can ask you any questions that they have about your specific application when they're reviewing it. Allowable costs. Organizations can apply to receive this specific grant funding for salary support, fees or stipends for artists, facility costs, costs of health and safety supplies, and marketing and promotional costs. There is a full list of unallowable costs in the guidelines document, but if you're applying for this grant as an organization, those are the funds that you can apply for. Individual artists can apply to receive grant funding for creation of new artwork, presentations, training, or research, but you cannot request one-time monetary recognition award funds. These funds cannot recognize a past piece of work. We're not looking to honor a particular artist with these funds. We want to make sure that this funding goes towards working artists for new projects that positively impact both your work as an artist and our community. And you must be over the age of 21 to apply for individual artist funds. The review process. Your application will be evaluated by, like I said, an unbiased grant panel review of community professionals and local artists. We ask that you be present either by phone or in person on the June 22nd grant panel review. Like I said, panelists may wish to direct specific questions to you regarding your project or your organization. The grant panel will evaluate applications primarily based on artistic excellence and artistic merit. Descriptions of artistic excellence and artistic merit, what the panel review will be using to evaluate your applications, that can be found under the review process section in the guidelines and also in the application. So just make sure that you're reading that really carefully and that when you're answering the questions in the application, answering the narratives, you're really keeping those things in mind, what is considered artistic excellence and artistic merit, because that's what they will be basing your award off of. If you're awarded, we'll send you a contract to sign along with the request for funds document and final award evaluation to review. The contract must be signed and returned to us by July 31st, but of course the request for funds and final award evaluation will not be due until after you spend those funds. You're requesting reimbursement, and all of that must be returned back to us by May 31st, 2023. So if you meet all of these requirements, now it's time to actually apply for funds. You can find every single question that will be asked in the application starting on page 6 of the guidelines before you even open the application itself. So we did this because we really want to make sure that none of your information gets lost and you're able to gather everything that you need, work on your narrative questions in the Word document first, ask us any questions before you actually begin the application. If you start the application and X out of it without saving and you don't submit it, we're not going to be able to recover it for you because it's through Google Forms. So we really encourage you to gather all of this information ahead of time by reviewing the questions starting on page 6 for organizations, page 9 for individual artists. Gather everything that you need before you start the application. Work on your narrative questions, like I said, in a Word doc before you actually begin the application. So I want to walk through what is actually in the application with you. If you need any assistance or accommodations with filling out the application before you start, please call us. We're fully committed to making any accommodation that you need, answering any questions that you have. So you can call us at 731-422-1385 Monday through Friday for any assistance that you need. We are happy to help you. The beginning of the application for everybody, organizations and individual artists, looks the same for everybody. It just starts off with basic information. If you choose that you are a 501c3 nonprofit, a unit of state or local government, an institution of higher education, or a federally recognized tribal government, you're going to be directed to the organization application. If you choose that you're an individual artist, you're going to be directed to the individual artist application. So I'm going to start with talking about the organization applications. So organizations, stay with me. Individual artists, feel free to fast forward a little bit until we get to individual artists at the end of this video. But I'll go over organization application first. So the organization application begins with really basic information, again, that you'll see starting on page 6 of your guidelines document. So just very simple, primary contact, phone, email, things like that. One thing that you might note in the basic information at the beginning of the application is that you are going to need a UEI number to receive these funds because these are federal funds. If you don't have a UEI number right now, no problem. You can still submit your application, but when you request funds, you are going to need a UEI number. So a link to get a UEI number is in the application. It's in the guidelines. That's not a difficult process. If you need help getting a UEI, just let us know. But again, a link to learn how to do that if you don't have one yet is in the guidelines and the application. So we'd really encourage you to take care of that sooner or later. Sooner rather than later, excuse me. So you will need to know what percentage of arts-based programming that your organization provides within a typical year. So meaning about what percentage of what your organization does is arts related. You'll also need to let us know what your organization's typical operating budget is pre-COVID, and what primary arts disciplines your arts organization provides to the community. In the media release section, you'll just need to upload your logo of preference from your organization so that we can use that for promotional materials if you are awarded these grant funds. Next is the narrative section. And again, because we're using Google Forms, I'd really encourage you to type out these narrative question answers in a Word document before you begin the application. That's going to make it easier on you, easier on us. If some reason things get lost, you have those narrative questions saved. All narrative questions can be found within the guidelines. Descriptions of artistic excellence and merit for which the grants panel review will be evaluating can be found in the guidelines of the application. please reference those definitions while you're answering your narrative questions, since that's what the grant panel review will be using as the basis of their evaluation. In this section, you can also upload 5 documents that demonstrate artistic skills and the artistic excellence of your program. You can also provide us with up to 5 website links that demonstrate artistic excellence of your program. You will be asked to estimate the amount of adults and the amount of children who engage in your organization every year, as well as how many people engage with your organization virtually every year. If you've provided virtual programming during COVID, if you rely really heavily on communicating with your audience in a virtual way, just estimating that number of people that are engaged with your organization virtually. Next is the financial information section. You'll be required to report your organization's income from fiscal year 2020, the expenses for fiscal year 2020, income for fiscal year 2021, expenses for fiscal year 2021, and your organization's budgeted 2022 income and 2022 expenses. We do not need your full detailed reported budget. We just need the very basic income and expenses for all of those years, and of course estimated for end of fiscal year 2022. You will also enter your requested grant amount here, which is a minimum of $500 and maximum $29,990. You're required to state how the award will be used and enter the dollar allocation. You must also report what COVID-19 specific relief you have had funded for your organization, either through grants or loans. So please state what funding you have received specifically for COVID-19 relief. This grant is for COVID-19 relief, so we want to know what funds you have already received, either through grants or loans for COVID-19, and how much you were able to receive. So please put the exact funding source and exactly how much you received from those funds. There's a simple assurances section that you can review in the grant guidelines that the chief authorizing official of the organization must certify at the end of the application. And that's all. That's all that the organizations have to answer. Hopefully that is quick and painless enough. We want to make sure that these funds are getting put to good use and they go out pretty soon to hopefully your organization. But that is all that you need. If you're an individual artist, this is where we start talking about the individual artist section. So organizations, thank you. Individual artists, let's go over your specific application. So at the beginning, when it breaks off from organization or individual artist, you're going to start off your application with basic identification information. All of that can be found starting on page 9 of the guidelines. Very simple who you are. As stated before, you must be 21 or over to request these funds for a specific project. An individual artist application moves right into the narrative questions. So you'll be evaluated by the panel on the basis of artistic excellence and merit, same as the organizations. Descriptions of artistic excellence and artistic merit can be found in the guidelines document. So please, please, please review those before you start on your narrative answers. The grant panel review will be evaluating based on artistic excellence and merit. So make sure that your narrative questions are including that information. Please type out your narrative questions in a Word document first. We want you to be able to save this and spend a lot of time editing it and really think through the questions. So type out your narrative questions in a Word document first before you start your application. Since the application is on Google Forms, if you lose it and don't submit it, we are not going to be able to recover it for you. This is really all up to you to keep track of before you press submit. After you press submit, we have a copy of your application, but please work on this in a Word document, get it exactly how you want it before you start the application. So the narrative questions, you're going to be asked to describe and detail the nature of your work, describe the project for which you are requesting funding, tell us about what you want to do, be really descriptive and detailed, and again, refer to those standards of artistic excellence and artistic merit. Describe how the project is going to positively impact the community, and specifically how the project is going to serve underserved populations in our community. Let us know how COVID-19 has impacted your work, and how the grant will further your artistic and career goals. You must request a specific dollar amount for this project. Minimum grant funding to apply for is $500, and a maximum is $29,990. You can request anywhere in between those numbers of what you need to complete this specific project, and provide a list of expenses for the project with the dollar amount. There's a simple artist demographic section in the application that just tells the Jackson Arts Council who you are, and helps us gather data about what artists are living in our community. Under the required documents, you must upload your resume. You must upload 5 samples of your work that demonstrate artistic excellence that you have completed in the past 3 years. You can share a link to your website or your social media if you have it. This is not a requirement, but if you do have it, that would be helpful for us to see. And proof of residence in one of the 8 counties in our region in Tennessee. So the 8 counties are listed in the guidelines. You must upload proof of residence in one of those 8 counties. There's a simple assurances section at the bottom that you can review in the grant guidelines that you must certify at the end of the application. And after you click I certify, click submit, and that's it. So hopefully that is quick and painless for everybody. We want to make this as easy as possible, and we want to make this very accessible. Again, if you have any questions, if you need any accommodations to complete the application, if something isn't clear to you after you watch this video, after you read over the guidelines, or if you just need a mentor to get through maybe a first grant application, we are here to help you in any way. Please give us a call Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our office number is 731-422-1385, and we are happy to help you through this process. So thank you.